Link TV, connecting you to the world. Link TV is viewer supported. Watch more at linktv.org.
Link TV presents Mosaic World News from the Middle East. Here are today's top stories.
Egypt government seeks extension of emergency law. Iraq boosts security after deadliest day this year. And Iran's Air Force warns off U.S. recon plane. Mosaic World News from the Middle East begins now.
وسعدتم صباحا إلى التفاصيل. تقدم الحكومة المصرية اليوم إلى مجلس الشعب.
Today, the Egyptian government will present Parliament with a draft bill to amend the emergency law, which has been in place for more than 29 years. Opposition movements are expected to hold a demonstration outside the Parliament to condemn the extension of this law.
Emergency law was enforced in Egypt after the assassination of former President Anwar Sadat on October 6, 1981, and it has been continually extended ever since. The opposition and human rights organizations cast doubt on the constitutionality of the emergency law. As its name suggests, it was designed for specific circumstances, such as wars and natural disasters. The extension of this law for more than 29 years is unconstitutional. The Egyptian authorities justify the need for this law by saying that it is only applied in terrorism and drug-related cases, and that it does not harm the general public. However, the opposition says that this justification is untrue, because the law has been continuously used to arrest political activists and those who oppose the Egyptian regime.
Joining us over the phone is Majdi Al-Dakak, editor-in-chief of October magazine. We welcome you, Mr. Majdi. What is the significance of these amendments?
First of all, the objective is to limit the emergency law to 2 cases. Based on the emergency law, newspapers can be shut down, homes can be placed under surveillance, and they can be searched without a warrant. All of these things will be stopped. The emergency law will only be applicable in 2 cases, terrorism and drug trafficking. Therefore, there is a new understanding on how the emergency law ought to be used in Egypt.
No foreign airplanes are allowed to come near the area where Iran is holding military drills. Iranian Navy Defense Forces sent this warning to a U.S. reconnaissance airplane. The general commander of the Iranian army, Ayatollah Salahi, explained that an airplane tried to get close to the area in the Gulf waters where the army has been conducting drills for several days. The plane turned back after it received a warning and was asked to leave by the defense forces of the Iranian Navy. In Iraq, a series of violent attacks took hold of the entire country yesterday, taking the efforts of security preservation back to square one. The violence took place in Basra, Baghdad, Fallujah, Hilla, Suwerha, and Mosul. More than 100 people were killed, and hundreds were wounded in suicide and armed attacks, the most violent of which targeted Hilla city. Meanwhile, the continued failure of the leadership of the different political blocs in reaching a consensus to form the new government adds more ambiguity to Iraq's future security. Abdul Latif Al-Omar reports.
Once again, Iraqi people are being killed in explosions that shook a number of cities. Hilla city, south of Baghdad, witnessed a bloody scene that all Iraqis are hoping not to have to see again. In front of a textile factory, 3 booby-trapped cars exploded, killing more than 45 people and injuring about 140. Prior to that incident, 2 suicide bombings targeted the town of Suwera in Wasit province, one with an explosive belt and the other with a booby-trapped vehicle. They took place inside a local market, claiming the life of 13 people and injuring more than 40 others. The violence also hit Fallujah, west of Baghdad. 4 people were killed in a bombing that targeted the homes of 5 security personnel. In Baghdad, security personnel were directly targeted in the hundreds of checkpoints that are on the streets. Armed men attacked 6 checkpoints with weapons equipped with silencers and killed 7 security members, while bombs planted in 3 other checkpoints checkpoints, killed a number of security personnel. The security chaos that Iraq is witnessing coincides with the political chaos, which only adds more ambiguity to the country's future. While Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki is increasingly clinging to his entitlement to form the new government with its coalition with the Shiite alliance, the leader of the Iraqiya coalition, Raed Allawi, reiterated once again his bloc's constitutional right to form the future government, being the winning bloc in the March 7th elections.
We have started down a path and it will be long and hard. The battle will not be easy at all. However, when we are faced with challenges, we become more determined.
Without a political consensus among the leaders, decoding the symbols of the Iraqi equation seems difficult, and the security, which appeared to be stable until it got stirred again, currently depends on the imposition of a consensus among the leaders, a consensus that hasn't appeared yet.
According to sources from Al-Iraqiya slate, its leader Raed Allawi will be meeting with Nouri al-Maliki, the head of the State of the Law coalition, within weeks. Leaders from the Iraqiya slate held a meeting to talk about their positions on the recent political developments. In addition to Allawi, Vice President Tariq al-Hashimi and Vice Prime Minister Rafi' al-Isawi attended the meeting. Alia Nasib Jassim, a member of the Iraqiya slate, said that she is committed to her slate's right to form the government.
It will not be an easy battle. This is how the head of the Iraqiya slate, Raed Allawi, opened the slate's first conference. Some of the slate's leaders attended the meeting, but others did not because they were disqualified. The meeting was held to discuss how to form a coalition with the other slates. However, Al-Iraqiya is still fighting for its right to form the next government since it won the largest number of votes.
We have started down a path and it will be long and hard. The battle will not be easy at all. However, when we are faced with challenges, we become more determined.
The invitation for a roundtable discussion is still open. We call on all parties to participate. Forming alliances does not necessarily mean that communication channels with the others should be closed.
The head of the State of Law coalition, Nouri al-Maliki, said that the formation of the government has already been decided on. He added that the coalition he formed with the National Iraqi Alliance will be in charge of naming the next prime minister. What will happen in Iraq depends on which constitutional interpretation of the 6th article will be applied.
The question that we want the media to raise is if there is a coalition to form the next government. If so, what is the name of this coalition and who is its leader? In reality, the word coalition was not used. They did not use the word integration or union as well, and no leader was named during that meeting, although we would like to reiterate that we do not have a problem with that meeting. Therefore, Al-Iraqiya's slate is still the largest bloc, and according to Constitutional Article number 6, it has the right to form the government.
The office of Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki released contradictory statements on whether he will meet with Allawi, who reiterated that he called for such a meeting 1 month ago. Al-Maliki said that if this meeting is held, it will be within the context of forming the National Unity Government, following its initial agreement with the National Iraqi Alliance.
If an agreement cannot be reached on whether al-Maliki should become the next prime minister, the communication channels with the Iraqiya slate are open.
While the Iraqiya slate insists on its right to form the next government, the National Iraqi Alliance called on the parties that joined it to hold an urgent meeting to discuss who will be the next prime minister. From the Iraqi capital of Baghdad, Majid Hamid, Al-Arabiya.
Iran has test-fired more missiles on the 7th day of its military exercises in the country's southern waters. The Navy tested the mid-range surface-to-surface Noor missile launched from its domestically built destroyer Jamaran. NAS-1 surface-to-surface missile and a coast-to-sea missile were also test-fired. The Navy has used mobile launchers built by the Defense Ministry in the drills. Delegations from Iraq, Qatar, and Oman are observing the drills. Also on Monday, a U.S. plane left the area after it was warned by Iranian Air Force against approaching the drills.
A U.S. reconnaissance plane tried to fly towards the drills, but left the area after an on-time warning from our Air Force. They know we are quite serious when it comes to protecting our territory.
Well, Iran has issued visas for the mothers of the 3 Americans currently being held in the country. The Americans were detained for illegally entering Iranian territory in July of 2009. Iran's foreign ministry spokesman says the move is a humanitarian act on the part of Iran. Rami Mehmet during his weekly news briefing, also referred to the upcoming G15 summit in Tehran. He said 8 heads of state will attend the conference. On a deal to swap the country's low-enriched uranium with nuclear fuel, Mehmet said Iran wants the exchange to take place on its soil. Mehmet said Iran is ready to hold talks with the EU Foreign Policy Chief, Catherine Ashton, in Turkey. He said no date has yet been set for the talks.
The Jerusalem Magistrates Court acquitted the head of the Islamic movement inside the Green Line, Sheikh Raed Salah, of charges of illegal gathering, rioting, and inciting violence against Israel.
The allegations were directed at Sheikh Raed Salah after he participated in the protests against the demolition of the Maghrib Gate Road near the noble sanctuary of Jerusalem, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, in 2007.
Our correspondent in Jerusalem, Ilyas Karam, has the details.
One of the many allegations levied against Sheikh Raed Salah concluded with a verdict of innocence. In this case, which has since been nicknamed the Syrian flag case, Sheikh Salah was accused of inciting riots and violence against Israel. It started in March 2007 when the occupation forces raided Al-Tissam refugee camp located in the Wadi al-Jos neighborhood while demolishing the Mughrabi Gate Road. A delegation from the occupied Syrian Golan came and intervened in the event while carrying a Syrian flag.
I don't feel any joy because the court decided that I am innocent, because I never felt like an accused, and I still adhere to my position of accusing the Israeli occupation. I condemn this terrible occupation, and because it is a terrible occupation, it will lead to further darkness.
The court's decision came at the same time as the Israeli authorities lifted the gag order on the arrests of Dr. Omar Sayed, a prominent activist in the Democratic Nation Rally, and Amir Makul, the general director of Ittijah, a union of Arab community-based associations inside the Green Line. They were accused of spying for Hezbollah in Lebanon. This accusation prompted the Arab public to take to the streets to protest the so-called political campaign that targets the activities and social role of local Arab associations.
Now there is a new policy against Arab associations inside the Green Line that have relations with other Arab associations which are working legally in the Arab world and maybe all over the world. This is under the pretext that if you establish these relations, or if you have links to a group that is hostile to Israel, they say that you're spying against the country.
But similar campaigns in the past did not lead to the desirable result. It is still possible that the goal of these new campaigns is to scare the local associations and intimidate their work, after Israel played an effective role in enforcing policies of exclusion and racism against the Arabs in Israel. So the political campaigns are not just random. They come within a general context in which Israel tries to hijack the memories of its Arab citizens, forbids them from remembering the catastrophe, and strips them of an Arab environment and of their Palestinian identity, then forces them to pledge allegiance to Israel as a Jewish state. Ilyas Karam, Al Jazeera, East Jerusalem.
Jerusalem is concerned with the intensive international efforts underway that are designed to rid the Middle East of nuclear weapons. That's the word from Defense Minister Barak, who told the Knesset Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee that despite the pressure, Israel will not be pressured into joining the nuclear non-proliferation treaty. Barak said Israel is facing the threat of long-term erosion of its international standing and can no longer count on an automatic American veto. Nonetheless, Barak believes that there is no real danger or threat to the ambiguous nuclear stance Israel has been presenting over the years. Commenting on recent tensions between Jerusalem and Washington, Barak admitted that there was friction and estrangement, but he added this can be put to rest with the renewal of peace talks with the Palestinians. Barak also said that the bond between Jerusalem and Washington is strong and stable. He expressed concern that the proximity talks will prove ineffective and suggested that they be cut short with parties moving to direct negotiations. Barak said after 15 years of talks, the issues are well known. Renewed controversy over building in the capital, with an announcement from Jerusalem Mayor Nir Barkat today that construction will continue throughout the city. This despite warnings from the Palestinian Authority that doing so will disrupt the just resumed peace process. We get more in this report.
The Ramat Shlomo building project is back in the headlines after Jerusalem Mayor Nir Barkat today vowed to advance building in all parts of the city, directly negating the message from U.S. Special Middle East Envoy George Mitchell just hours earlier. Following meetings with Palestinian Authority officials in Ramallah, Mitchell announced the beginning of proximity talks between Israel and the Palestinians, and that Israel has agreed to a 2-year building freeze in Ramat Shlomo. PA officials added that the freeze is in effect whether or not it has been officially announced. During the March visit to Israel by U.S. Vice President Joe Biden, peace talks were derailed and relations with Washington strained when Jerusalem announced plans to build 1,600 homes for Jews in the East Jerusalem Ramat Shlomo neighborhood. The Prime Minister's office last night issued a statement saying that Netanyahu informed the U.S. that the planning process for Ramat Shlomo would take at least 12 months prior to actual construction that would last for several years. But it's not all about Ramat Shlomo. Other Jerusalem neighborhoods are also affected. According to the Minister of Housing, Ariel Atias of Shas, housing units already finished or nearing completion will be sold, while additional units already granted building permits left hanging in the balance are 247 units in Har Homa, 892 units in Ramot, and 79 units in Pisgat Ze'ev. Without new building, Jerusalem faces a severe housing shortage. The lack of new units led to a 16% rise in prices this past year alone, with a typical 4-room apartment in the capital now going for the steep price tag of 1,600,000 shekels. This is Erin Viner for IBA News.
Yet another security scandal. The Petah Tikva Magistrates Court today released for publication details of the security affair that has angered the local Arab public. 2 Israeli Arabs, Balad activist Omar Saeed of Kfar Kana and Amir Mahul from Haifa, the Director General of a leading Arab NGO, were both arrested on suspicion of espionage and contact with a foreign agent from Hezbollah. Mahul was arrested last week and Saeed was detained at the end of April. Reports of the arrest circulated widely on unofficial websites and blogs, but government censors had banned the local media and press from reporting the story until the gag order was lifted. Early this morning, Israeli Air Force planes struck 2 targets in the southern Gaza Strip. The IAF action came in retaliation for the Saturday night launching of a Qassam rocket, which landed near Ashkelon without causing injury or damage. According to Hamas, Israel targeted a smuggling tunnel and the mostly inactive Gaza airport. No casualties were reported in the attack. The Army issued a statement saying the IDF will not tolerate any attempt to harm the citizens of Israel and will continue to operate against those who use terror. The statement added that the Army holds Hamas solely responsible for maintaining peace and quiet in the Gaza Strip. And a remand hearing was held today for 4 Druze youth who were arrested during riots in the northern village of Usafia. 4 police officers were injured. 18 rioters arrested during Sunday night's disturbances relating to the government decision to lay a gas pipeline on Druze land before a compensation agreement had been reached. 3 other detained men had their remands extended last night, and 11 others were released to house arrest.
Tenaya is a sad town after the Bekaa region elected its municipals, leaving it without a municipality of its own.
في تعنايل لا يدللون أبقارهم كما يفعل الدنماركيون.
In the town of Tenaya, people do not spoil their cows the way the Danes do. Even so, Tenaya is famous for its milk and cheese, but it is losing its reputation after the parliament canceled its municipal elections in order to safeguard coexistence. After the municipal elections ended in the district of Zaghli, Tenaya seems to have lost hope. It can only watch other people happily sitting in their new municipal councils, while the town itself is stuck between the mosque and the church.
We were candidates and they nominated our family. We all met with the different families in addition to our Christian brothers in order for us to represent our town economically and agriculturally. Then this happened.
You printed posters and were waging a campaign.
We printed posters to heat up the campaign, to have an atmosphere of elections, and to get everyone excited.
And what happened?
This is what happened. The parliament took this decision and we respect it. We are for peaceful coexistence, God willing. There will be no dispute. Hopefully, we won't get disappointed by all those involved, and we would like to work together, Christians and Muslims.
However, there is another excuse. They say that there are some naturalized citizens here. Is this really a question that should be asked? Are there naturalized citizens living today in Tenaya? Why did no one oppose those candidates in the parliamentary elections while they are being opposed in the municipal elections? This is the question that should be asked. This is the government's position. We are giving the government an opportunity. This is definitely not a threat. Far from it. There must be dialogue in this region so that we can reach a positive result that benefits both sides and benefits the development of this town.
On the day of the elections, the residents of the town gathered to request that the parliament recall its decision and conduct the municipal elections in their town, just like its neighboring towns. But no one was there to listen, because even though peaceful coexistence calls for these elections, that same principle of coexistence prompted the Christian mayor of the town to reject talking about the matter, whereas the former deputy mayor of the town reiterated that what is most needed is the development of the town with the exclusion of political and sectarian considerations.
Tenaya only needs a municipality, and we will deal with things on our own. We don't need any ministers or government officials. Just give us the municipality. We will take care of ourselves and we'll serve our needs.
What things are missing here that a municipality can provide?
There are plenty of things.
Tell me about them.
We are missing a lot of things. First of all, there is limited lighting on the streets. Of course, there is electricity. We appreciate the service just like other Lebanese towns. But we don't have any internal lighting or electricity networks like the other towns do. We don't have a road system or health care. We are living with insects and rats. We are living this way. No roads. Our cars are broken because of our bad roads.
This town, eaten up by neglect, is swinging between the peaceful coexistence of its residents and its need to develop. Despite all of this, the town still produces the best cheese. If Denmark is famous for the quality of its cows, then the cows of Tenaya are not lacking in quality either. But the crux of the matter is that peaceful coexistence in Tenaya can produce local cheese, but it seems impossible for it to produce a municipal council. From the town of Tenaya, Rami Alamin, New TV.
The government of southern Darfur announced the arrest of several suspects on charges stemming from their role in the slaying of 2 Egyptian peacekeeping soldiers in Darfur. The 2 soldiers who were working with the African Union UN hybrid operation in Darfur, known as UNAMID, were killed last week in Darfur. Meanwhile, the governor of southern Darfur, Abdelhamid Musa Kasha, warned that swift action will be taken against anyone seeking to disrupt security in the region, regardless of their tribal, religious, or ethnic affiliations.
The government of southern Darfur finally broke its silence over the May 7th killing of 2 Egyptian soldiers working with the UNAMID peacekeeping forces deployed in Darfur. Several suspects have been arrested in connection with the case.
Based on the available information, a large number of suspected criminals have been arrested. As I said earlier, those arrested are bandits and they are not affiliated with any party. May God, all praise to him, accept the martyrdom of our slain Egyptian brothers at UNAMID. It was an unfortunate incident. This is part of life. God willing, the UNAMID has vowed to pursue anyone involved in attacks on its members.
During a meeting with local leaders and officials in the state of southern Darfur, Kasha warned of swift action against anyone seeking to disrupt security in the region. In addition, Kasha pledged to keep the door wide open for refugees in the Kelma camp to enter the city of Nyala without getting harassed by the security agencies.
We will not show mercy, and we will not stay silent. But we will take action against those who are spilling blood, regardless of their plight, skin color, origin, religion, or affiliation. Effective tomorrow, all security agencies are prohibited from denying access to the people of the Kelma refugee camp, to the areas of Kiza and Hizala.
Meanwhile, the newly elected local legislative council held its first session to be sworn in. During the session, a parliament speaker was elected. The newly elected parliament speaker said in a statement issued to Al Alam satellite channel that the legislative council faced major setbacks during its first session.
The most important issue facing the Legislative Council is the implementation of peace in the state of southern Darfur. In cooperation with our brothers at the federal government, the new council will continue to promote peace and security. The council will also seek to achieve equality in the service sector, as well as promote development in the state.
Hot topics await the newly elected government of southern Darfur. In addition, several outstanding issues top the agenda of the local legislative council in southern Darfur. The newly elected members of parliament face major challenges in their efforts to meet the expectations of the public that elected them. Muhannad Al-Hussein, Al-Alam, Nyala, southern Darfur.
The views expressed on Mosaic are from contributing broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible from support of viewers like you. Thank you. Watch Mosaic World News online. Stay up to date with breaking news. Read our blog. Get transcripts of past shows and more at linktv.org/mosaic.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.